to record. No, there is no writing still.
I think I'll just repeat that after 2 o'clock. I feel like some people are just like they stepped away and they're like, I'll come back, refocus at 2, not before then.
Yes. That is okay.
All right. Do you want me to wait a couple minutes?
No, I will just say a few sentences and we can start because we will be on time and people will join us probably if they are here. Okay, welcome everybody, and I hope that you are good after lunch. We have a new topic today, and Simonette will represent herself and the topic, and enjoy it, please. Simonette, the mic is yours.
Great, thank you. I'll share a screen and I hope that you can all see this. Maybe you could indicate with a thumbs up if the screen is visible. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so my topic today is ethics in AI and how to practically get started. And even if you're not building products with AI right now, most of this content applies to building products in general and how to think about ethics in the context of that. So who am I to speak to you about this? My name is Simonetta. I'm coaching and mentoring product leaders. I've been in product roles myself for more than 20 years, building tech products in different industries, different size organizations. And I've always been super curious in how to build thriving and high-performing teams. Personally, some of my values are about equality, diversity, and inclusion. I love to travel, I love to cook, I love art, and I love Argentine tango. And you might ask yourself, what does this have to do with ethics? So what we'll cover today is like, why even bother about ethics in AI or in products in general? And what does that even mean? And then very practically, we're going to take a look at a product lifecycle and an AI ethics canvas together. And we've spent most of our time today there. So I'll give a quick introduction and then we'll go into a mural and start working there. And I want to leave you with one thing from this session to action, hopefully to inspire some more ethical thinking, some more action from this session, because listening to something here is cute, but doing it in the real world is where our impact lies. So why and what? Why even think about ethics in the context of building products, right? We want to build good products, something that's valuable, that's usable, that's feasible to build, that's viable to build. And these things have always been there in context of building any kind of product. And they're also obviously applied to products that have AI components in them. And I want to lead off with this idea from Amy Webb, who's the CEO of the Future Today Institute. This woman spends her time thinking about the future and predicting it. And her message at one of the big conferences here in Germany that she recently spoke at was, future is not something we predict, it is something we create. And we as product people, we're in the business of creating stuff every single day. So when we do this, we are envisioning a new future. We are envisioning an impact that we want to have on our clients. And so we're in this future creation business all the time. And so naturally, we should ask ourselves, what kind of future and impact are our products creating? So if you just take a moment to take stock and think about this in the context of the product that you are currently working at, is this something that you're thinking about? Are you working on impact mapping? And if not, maybe this session can inspire you to start thinking about this a little bit more. I think it's important when we speak about ethics that we also speak about the same thing. So ethics, this is definition from Wikipedia, and there are others, but I think this one is good enough. It's about a set of concepts and principles that guide us in figuring out what behaviors helps or harms sentient creatures. You could expand this and make it even bigger. You could include plants in this. You could include our whole planet in this. But it is about something that is like guiding our thinking and guiding our actions and guiding ultimately our behaviors. So what does this mean in the context of products? What are these guiding principles? Some of those things have to do with our values. Some of these things have to do with the impact we want to create, both in a good way and also to be aware and maybe mitigate the kind of impact that we don't want to create, especially when it comes to products with AI in them. So you could ask yourself a set of questions, and I'm going to just reveal them one by one. And my inspiration for you, or my invitation for you, is to maybe take a screenshot of these. This could be like, if you take nothing else from this whole session and you just start mulling over some of these questions, you are a step ahead in starting to think about what is this kind of behavior you want to create with your products, what impact you want to leave behind. Who is this client when they're at their best? Who is this client maybe when they're at their worst? And what do we not want them to do with our products? What is the thing that I want to invite for with my products? So take a moment, take a screenshot. And if you only take this and you start thinking about these questions and they start guiding your product thinking, then for me, this is already a win. But I promised you that we're going to do this a little bit interactive, and we're going to get into a really practical tool in terms of thinking about ethics in the context of building AI products. So what I have created is a canvas, and it really is like, you see at the top, the stages of a typical product development life cycle. You go from discovery through analysis, you build something, you introduce it to the market. There's the whole growth, maturity, and decline phase. I collapsed them. You could keep them separate if you want to. And then there's a post-mortem, like once you are ending the life of your product, right? So along this whole product life cycle, you will find yourself in one of these phases with your products today, and or you are starting to build new stuff and you go through the whole product life cycle altogether. There are tools and sessions that you could use that help you figure out how to engage with the ethical considerations of building an AI product or any product in general. Some of these things are generic. They apply to any kind of product you build. And I've also put a list of questions there that I think are a starting point at each phase of the product life cycle to start thinking about what kind of things should I ask myself at this stage of my product to be engaged with this thinking about ethics and maybe prevent something not so wanted from happening, and also purposely design the thing that you do want to see happen. So for me, when I think about ethics, sometimes people have this reaction and they're like, oh, this is boring. It's difficult. It's yet another thing to do. It's not what I want to do. And I don't even know where to get started. And I want you and to encourage you to think of it more as something creative and fun, because everywhere along of your product life cycle, you are part of this create the future you want process. And you can be very creative and very engaged in building something really cool, or you can be like hands off and then you let life happen and stuff happens that you may or may not want. So I'm going to invite you to join me on a mural board, and I'm typing a link into the chat where you can join me there as well. So let me just stop sharing this screen, and you should see me also sharing the mural screen. And hopefully you can join me there. I see one person in mural already, but I assume there's more people in this conversation than one. So some people are joining. Beautiful. what we're going to take a look at, and I'll also just summon you there so you can follow along with where I am at right now, is we're building products with AI. And what practically can we do to consider risk along the way of this? So I want to come to this canvas where now you can see some of these tools and potential workshops or things you could be doing and a list of questions. And I'm just going to give you 5 minutes to really browse around this canvas. And I'd love for you to just add sticky notes with questions or comments or reflections, or you could just speak up and say, oh, I don't know what that is. Can we speak about this more? I'm just going to put a timer and let you explore this for a second. You can also just unmute and speak if you want to. I'm pretty sure there are things in here that you have not heard of or that don't seem to make obvious sense. Please feel free to use the chat to start putting some of these questions up. I'd love to hear some reaction from one of you about something in here. Maybe it's something you like, maybe you found this useful, maybe it was surprising. My invitation is to put something in the chat. Don't be shy. There's no right or wrong way to be with this stuff. This is just an invitation. It's a suggestion, and I'm sure every one of you could build on this or improve it. Nothing? Is it all just clear? Or is it too much, too confusing? Okay, there's no reactions. We're just gonna move on and take a look at some deep dive maybe into some of the things that are mentioned here. So for example, you see the inspection process. Like, I'm really surprised that you all seem to either already know this or feel shy to ask a question. You'll find references to the things that are mentioned up here in this next section of the mural, which is about a collection of tools that I've put together that are a little bit more hands-on, and that they actually have links mentioned on most of them, or they have a source of it. So for example, when you see about this, inspection process, they are a consultancy, and they've come up with a process to think about ethics in the context of building AI products. And so for them, their ethical concepts that they build everything on is a respect for human autonomy, a prevention of harm, fairness, and explicability. And then they have key requirements for what they would take a look at when they were to evaluate your product to see whether or not it meets ethical standards. And something like this might become interesting because some of you may have heard of the EU AI Act that's in progress right now. And as part of that, depending what kind of product you're building, you may actually have a requirement to go through a process to get your product approved for use. Otherwise, you might not be in compliance with the EU AI Act, and something like their process could get you ready for this kind of an approval. So if you're building products with AI, I would encourage you to take a look at the sources that the EU has put out there with regards to the kind of things that you can build without an issue and the kind of things you cannot build without getting regulatory approval. And then if you find yourself in a situation where maybe you do have to get approval, then something like this might be able to help you. But before you even go there, and more generically, I really like this this tool from the OECD as well. And again, here's a link to it in the tools section as well. They basically are doing this in an iterative fashion. They think throughout the AI lifecycle, from plan to collect and processing data, to building and using the model, to verifying and validating the model, to deployment, and then operating and monitoring, and then really going around in a circle of monitoring and managing risk. And for each of these phases, they again have links to resources and ways to think about it that I think are really helpful to take a look at when you're building products with AI components in them. So that's a great resource to add. But very practically speaking, I also just want to point out this book, Designing Human-Centric AI Experiences by Akshay Kaur. And again, you find some of these ethical principles here. You can take inspiration from that: ensuring your system is trustworthy, explainable, transparent, non-biased, is safe to use, and is beneficial. And what does that mean, beneficial? For example, he breaks this down as that the machine's only objective is to maximize realization of human preferences. So if you think about a lot of the things that go through the press right now when it comes to where AI products might be scary, it is about not actually putting humans first, but having a machine kind of take over decision-making processes and do things that are not centering humans. And a lot of these situations where it's about human preference, it is actually needed to have a human in the loop somehow so that you can work well with uncertain and unpredictable situations. And so a lot of the stuff that's in this book that I kind of just like outline major points here are really good starting points for ethical considerations when building products with AI components. I'm going to just stop here and again invite you all to just put a question in the chat or share a reflection or share a thought on this. Something that you're wondering about maybe. It's your floor just as much as it is mine. Is this all clear? Does this make sense? Is this what you expected when you heard practical tools of thinking about ethics in AI? I do think people are in food coma. There's no reactions whatsoever.
It can be possible. Probably, or it's too much after lunch to this kind of topic to just how to reflect everything. Somebody?
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no reactions whatsoever. I will share this canvas with you. I mean, you have access to it through this link right now anyway, but you can always just get a PDF copy of it as well. If this is something you want to take home and just take a look at later and maybe look at in chunks and not try to digest right after lunch. So I'll come back to the PowerPoint presentation. Give me 1 second to go there and start sharing that again. Oh, jump to the beginning. Okay, let me just quickly jump through. So from this session to action was my promise to you, right? So first of all, I want to reiterate some of the points I already made that I hope you can take away from this. We are building the future we want to create with all our products. Whether you do it intentionally or not, you're engaged in this game as a product person. And your ethical considerations are determining what that future will look like. This might sound like a contradiction, right? We all learn in product that we should be doing discovery and then we're building what our clients need. But how you build that, are you building it in a transparent way? Are you marking up and making explicable that this part of your product is aided by AI technology, yay or nay? Or does your UX just omit this kind of a thing? These kind of decisions are part of your day-to-day decision making, and they will determine what the future of the use of your products and the impact they have out there in the world will actually look like. So you are a lot more powerful in a lot of ways than what it might feel like when you think about this whole products and AI thing and you look at all the dooms messages that you see in the press these days. You actually have a lot of power to create really cool things too. And I also think that ethics can be creative and fun, and they inform every single part of your product lifecycle. We've taken a look at the big canvas together already, and you could see how these questions are informing your decision making along the way of all of this. So I just want to put to you that you are in this spot as product people to really determine what kind of things users use. And if you're building products at scale, you have a ton of impact. So you're actually a lot more empowered and powerful than you may think of yourself in this context. So here also is something you can just scan this with your phones. And if you're interested in this topic and you want to know where there's further reading or maybe the kind of people that I'm following to start that informed what went into this canvas, this blog article links to a lot of resources. You can just go there and take a look. So hopefully this will inspire one or two of you to take this topic and run with it. And also I'm offering you an hour of my time to start thinking about stuff like maybe your values, or to start considering one of these dimensions along the way of your product lifecycle. This is my offer to you. It doesn't have to be an AI product. It could be any kind of product. If you want to have an hour of my time to think about ethics in the context of what you're building, I would love for you to share this canvas on LinkedIn with some of your thoughts, some of your thinking alongside of it, and tag me in it. And if you're doing this, the first 3 people who will do it by the end of September can book an hour of my time for free and just have a bit of a starting point and maybe a sounding board and a sparings partner when it comes to thinking about ethics and AI. And I'm going to just stop here and open also the floor for your questions. So what is it like for you to think about something like ethics in AI? What is maybe something that you're thinking about when it comes to this, if anything? You're all very quiet on this whole topic.
Still nothing.
Yelena, do you have a question?
Yes, I always thought about that when we speak about ethics, and there is that it is so many available things that the people can use, and does they use it on the right way, correct way, ethical way? Where is the border? You know, how much I can use something and when I have to stop. Who
Yeah,
decided about that?
ultimately you. And having and I think what helps you think this through and be with it is if you are clear on what your values are. Like, for example, if you, and maybe if you did values with your team, right? And it came out that transparency is important to you, right? You can take a look at something and look at the user experience and ask yourself, is my value of transparency honored here? Yes or no? And maybe to what degree can I make it more prominent, right? I care about this. So it's not just like, is the worst case mitigated? It is like, how can I add more transparency into my product? So you can use it as a creative resource just as much as it could be something that helps you decide for or against something. There is no right or wrong way to go about it, really. But I do think that we all know and agree that the things that we build, they do have an impact. And we can monitor that impact and we can ask ourselves, is that the impact we want? Sometimes we build something and it's not the intended impact, it's something else, but it's cool, right? We like it, we build on it.
Yes.
Or we build something, we had an idea for the impact, it doesn't do that. Now we can adjust, right? And our values or maybe our product principles help us in this adjustment.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Something more? We have
Anyone else?
really, really shy people here. You don't.
It's a topic where I also understand when people are shy, right? Because how do you speak about ethics and feel like you have it figured out? It's impossible, right? There's no absolute truth about almost anything in life, right? There's always multiple perspectives that can be valid and valuable. So how do you think about this and come out okay? So I understand when when people are shy on this particular topic, but I also feel like we all have this inner compass that tells us if something feels right or if something feels off. And maybe we can't even put our finger on it, but we know whether it feels like thriving, expansive, creative, open, trusting, or it feels like somehow constricted, somehow there's something wrong with it, somehow we have a pit in our stomach when it comes to it, somehow it feels tense. So we have an amazing ability as humans to sense these kind of things and use that as our compass to figure out where we want to go. It sounds woo-woo maybe, but it is we all have this ability. And
Yes.
one of the things I do in coaching with product leaders is to hone this ability to make people feel more confident in trusting their intuition and trusting this inner compass, especially when it comes to hard decisions. Like, do you stick with this person in your team and try to build them up, or is it better for you to part ways, right? Dicey conversations, dicey decisions to be made. And it's part of what we do in as product leads, right? We're building a product. Should we continue building this thing, or is it having an impact that's dangerous to the world and we have to restrict this? Where is the line, right? But someone has to make these calls. And so I feel it's important for us as product people to be able to start thinking about these kind of decisions and have some sort of a frame of reference of being with it.
Yes, we have our values. At the same time, we have some context. We have some situation where we had to combine everything, to combine our values with that it's happening to us through some project or some, however, and what to use, how to use, and to make the best solution for everybody.
Right. Exactly. I can't see the
no
time right
question.
now, so I'm wondering.
We have time. We have
Okay.
time. It's not a problem.
I'm just gonna stop sharing the screen and maybe we can invite people to come
Maybe
on camera if they dare to.
Maybe it's easier like that to speak.
And just have a conversation about it. Was there something you reacted to in this content, something that felt interesting or inviting? Oh, more people are leaving.
No, don't ask for the camera and so on. Okay. Nothing.
I was hoping for more conversation, so I didn't prepare more content, but I guess we can just
talk. Maybe somebody will decide to say something about this. I will just invite everybody. I will share in a chat voting link to put your words about this presentation, about the topic, and to share with us. Just a second. What did you think? It will be valuable for us for sure. Short, in 3 words, not more, not too much. We will not do anything, but give us your feedback. Just 5 of us are here in this moment.
maybe I'll just ask you, Yelena, what are you taking away from this?
For me, this was how to say, in some kind of way, it is a new topic. It's not completely new, but something that I heard from you. For example, I didn't catch everything from Mural, but I will check for sure, because I'm new. I'm a junior in this program completely. and how I can compare with something else that, which I did before. For example, my son using AI, for example, for some things in school, and I try to explain him to have a line, not to cross the line, and how to be correct in front of the teachers, and how to use some tools that he has for sure, but not to for cheating, you know, to be good to. And I make the comparison with this part of my life and how to use this in here in this kind of business, for example, you know.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the one hand you want to try stuff, right? And you want to actually understand how it works, and there's really cool things you can do with it. But then where is that moment where you cross the line, and what lines do you not want to cross, right? You have to somehow have an idea about those things. And I think this kind of human judgment element is what makes it difficult to be with this topic, right?
Yes.
It's not easy to know for sure, do it this way or do it that way, right?
Yes, exactly. We have everything. It is so easy to use today, very easy to use, but you have to decide for every side, is it okay or not okay, what for me to be well and you to be well also with this. So it is how to say, a big responsibility. As
Right.
some people maybe don't feel it like that, but I'm sure that the people in our industry are aware of this, how much is this big responsibility for them for making decisions and so on.
Right. It's we're building these things, right? That's
Yes, yes,
where the
yes,
huge responsibility lies. There is like using it is one thing, but building it, creating the feature set,
yes,
making all these decisions along the way. Did you check your data? Is your data biased? Did you somehow figure out a way to make the outcomes of your models be non-biased, or did you not even think about that? Um, do you care?
yes.
Maybe you don't, right? But it is, I just, I'm sure people have seen Oppenheimer, right? Like the guy did realize in the end that like if you give the US government this weapon, they will use it, right? And he did then start thinking, should we build even more powerful bombs, yay or nay? We can do it, right? You could have gone the same route. It's doable. I'm as a physicist, I want to just explore what that is. So I'm going to create it, but then someone will use it, right?
In which kind
And
of way? Yeah.
this is the same responsibility we have with building products, right? Doesn't matter if it's AI products or any kind of product. It's like when you can use it for good or bad, think about some people will abuse this, and how can you mitigate this in some way? So you don't find yourself like in this situation at the end of your life where you're like, oh my God, what kind of monster did I build? Because I had my hands on this.
Yes, we are creating a tool which can be a weapon for some kind of way, you know.
Well,
Uh,
hopefully not, right?
no,
But
not really, but like metaphorical, you know.
yes, yeah. And how can you make it more safe? How can you make it more transparent? How can you make it more collaborative, maybe, right? Like how can you make it more inclusive? How can you make it more fun to be with? How could it spark more joy, right? Like those are all things that we can also design for.
Yes,
And so that's why I said it's very it can be a very creative and fun exercise to be with this, because you can also intentionally design the cool values that you want to portray with your product.
of course, of course. No, okay. Can you share some of your experiences from the very beginning about this topic? For example, from your job or something similar?
Yeah. So I was building products with a company that made ad filtering software. And we had team members who were super excited about starting to explore what you could be doing with machine learning, what you could be doing with like new ways to basically decide whether content is an ad or not, to block it or not block it, right? And I found that teams just wanted to get started, right? They were just excited about the tech and the possibility of the tech, and they didn't really think about like necessarily even what the UX would be or what this would be needed for, and also the viability of it. I think we were very green when you look back in this canvas into this very first step of discovery and analysis, right? To even know what kind of team you need, what kind of skill sets you need in the team in order to build a machine learning based product, in a rule based product in a good way, right? You need more advanced data engineering, you need machine learning engineers, you need like people who are expensive to hire that can even do it. And then it's about creating the kind of data set that will actually be used for your decision making, right? In this case of filtering ads, bias in terms of gender equality or racial equality and things like that is not the main focus necessarily, because you're just judging, is this an ad or is this not an ad with a machine learning algorithm. But in this busyness of product life, to take time to have these reflections and to take time about thinking about the impact that you're creating wasn't always there. So practically speaking, I think my teams lacked something like this, where they didn't even know what kind of questions they should ask themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what made me create this canvas, because if you don't know where to even start with this, like it helps to have the questions you should ask yourself and the questions you should reflect upon. That's why I hope that people took a screenshot of those very basic questions I had in the very beginning, because if you start at least with that, you can start thinking about the other things later.
Yes, yes. Good.
And this very first slide I showed about usability and feasibility and viability and value to users, never forget about that, right? It can be so exciting to build something with a new tech stack, but if doing it becomes such an expensive solution that your whole product is no longer viable, then machine learning or an AI-based approach is probably not even the best way to go. And so sometimes teams forget about that too.
Yes, it can be also. Okay,
I
we
think we
are,
can just,
yes, we can finish because we are on time.
yeah,
Everything is okay. Thank you a lot for your presentation, for the participants. Yes, for sure they were sleepy maybe or something else, but this video will be recorded and will be on our YouTube channel, and for sure it will be useful for them. So thanks one more time, and thank you for joining us, and see you at the next session. Enjoy
hi,
the rest
Elena.
of the day. Hi.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.